guys, welcome back to the channel. Check out this little quad that I got here today. It's called the G-Fun 85X. It's a little FPV brushed racer. It's not a brushless, but I have a lot of fun with these little brushed racers because they're so light. And this one's kind of particularly cool because it came with these pretty awesome prop guards that just snap on the top of the motors. Then they'll protect those props while you're flying it. Now this is the DSM-X version, so I'm going to bind this up to my DX8 over here, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that setup, and we'll do some outdoor flying. But if you're new, just getting into FPV, this is a pretty cool quad to start out with, and it will take some instruction to set up, but if you already have a Spektrum radio, this is kind of cool that you can get this and bind it up to your Spektrum transmitter. Also, they have the FlySky version and the FrSky version, so you guys that fly like something like the X7 or the X9D, you can bind those radios up to it. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up in clean flight. After I'm done with that, I'll put the props on and we'll go outside and do some flying. Now, one of the things you're going to need to do before you fly this is you're going to need to take these 3 screws off of the top and put this to the side so you can get to the receiver. There's a little tiny bind button on the very side of it, and that's what you're going to use to bind it. But first, before you bind it to your radio, I would recommend setting it up inside clean flight. You're going to need to take a soldering iron and you're going to need to bridge where it says boot. What I mean by bridge is, see that little tiny tab right there and the one next to it? You're going to need to take a little piece of solder and make sure that it bridges both of these connections right here. This will put this flight controller into bootloader mode, and it'll allow clean flight to be able to flash this board for you. Once you flash it, you'll have to set up all your settings, your modes, and everything on there. Not too hard to do. I've done it a bunch of times on this channel, so you can refer to some of the other videos on the channel on how to do that. But this is a very standard F3 setup and pretty easy to set up inside clean flight. Now, like I was saying before, you've got this little boot tab here, and there's 2 tabs. It's kind of hard to see, but I did bridge those 2 tabs right there with a little bit of solder. So now it's in bootloader mode, and when I connect to clean flight, it'll see the board and I'll be able to flash it. But to get back to the other part of the setup on this board, you need to take the solder back off. So you'll need to reheat that solder back up and use a solder sucker just like this and suck that solder right out of there. That way that those 2 tabs aren't bridged anymore, and that will put it back into the mode where you can connect it to clean flight to set it up. Now, this board is an SP Racing F3 Evo, so you'll need to select that inside clean flight and select the latest version and scroll down to the very bottom here and select load firmware online. And up at the very top, no boot resequence. You want to flash on connect. You can do the full chip erase and manual baud rate of 57,600 there for the baud rate. And go ahead and hook up your USB cable to your quadcopter. Now, if it doesn't start right away when you hook up the cable to your quad, go ahead and hit flash firmware, and it should start that process. So now we're flashing the firmware on the board on the F3 Evo. And once that's done, it's successful, go ahead and disconnect the cable. And we're going to take that solder off the board now. And we're going to go back into clean flight. So now I'm going to go back to that welcome tab on the main screen here and reconnect the USB cable to the quad. See if I can get in here and hold the camera at the same time. Sorry about that. Okay, so now the quad's connecting and I'm inside clean flight. I can check my orientations here. Forward, back, left, right. Everything looks good there. And on the ports, you're going to leave the ports the same. It should be a PPM receiver. If it's an S-bus, you'll need to do serial RX on one of these UART ports. So now that your quad's inside clean flight, you can go ahead and do your mode setup, set up your fail-safe and your receiver channels. Now, I have the Spektrum version, so I have DSM-X, and I have my DX8 here, and I'm inside clean flight. Now, if you're setting this up on DSM2 or DSM-X, you'll need to do something in the configuration. For the ports, you can put that on serial RX on UART3, and for the configuration, where your receiver tab is, go all the way to the bottom here where it says receiver, and you want to select serial-based receiver SpecSat S-Bus. And for the next setting down, you want to do Spektrum 2048. The other setting, 1024, doesn't work, doesn't have enough channels in the receiver menu here. So if you get all of these channels if you select 2048. So now I have everything looks like it's correct on here. Throttle, roll, and pitch is all good here. And I also have my arm switch there on aux 1, and I have my modes switch on aux 2. And if it had a beeper, I would have that on the aux 3 channel. So really quickly here, the modes, I have aux 1, and that is my arm switch. So you can see that green dot move into the green range. Go ahead and move that slider over. You can just trim it in on that other side, just make it a little tighter in, and press risk save on that. So next we'll have angle mode and horizon mode. Go ahead and add those, and those are on aux 2 for me on that switch. First position is going to be angle, and I'm going to drag that over so that the, let's see, you're going to make aux 2 there. Make sure you select that on the tab, and then you'll see that little green hash mark pop up. We can go ahead and test that out. We can drag these two white tabs in just a little closer, make that a little tighter. Now save that. I'll go back to angle. You can see that go green. When I go down to the next one, horizon, that one's over here now, and this one lights up. And when I go to Acro, the third position switch down on this 3-position switch, that'll be Acro. So you don't have to have anything here, any kind of tab here for Acro to be active. You'll just have Acro on that 3rd position if nothing's there. Now you can add air mode on there if you want to, and you can have air mode available. If you drag it all the way over like this, you can have it available inside your horizon mode, or you can drag it all the way over and have it on all your modes, or just simply on Acro mode. I usually have air mode just on Acro mode myself, and I can drag that over a little tighter there. So indeed, when that switches all the way over, you'll hear the motors just gently purring over there. So now I'm all good with those, and I'm gonna go ahead and save that. Don't forget to save. And yes, now we have throttle. So we're good to go there. Now one other thing you'll need to do is set your motor rates. So I have it typed in here and I have it saved. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that and paste it into the CLI. If you go down to the CLI here and you paste it right here at the very bottom of the prompt, go ahead and hit return. I'm just going to do that one more time, and then type in save, and it will restart clean flight, and your motors should behave properly now. It shouldn't spool up without throttle. So this is the box that it came in, kind of a tiny little box. This is the instructions. It also has information for FrSky, FlySky, and how to bind to the DSM2 and DSMX protocols for the Spektrum guys, and that's pretty awesome. You get some rubber bands, some extra motors, which is awesome. I like extra motors in quadcopter kits. 2 sets of props, which is good, and we get prop tool remover and this really cool little charge lead right here. Now, it doesn't come with a charger for the battery. It does come with that little 1S, I believe it's a 600 milliamp, but this will connect to those ISDT chargers. So if you have one of those ISDT chargers, plug that right in the side, and then you can charge your 1S battery in the field or on the bench. I'm gonna go ahead and set it on the scale for you guys and show you a live weigh-in. We have 44 grams there, and I'll go ahead and put that 600 milliamp battery on there. 60 gram total takeoff, pretty lightweight. Now you can also use those JJRC 500 milliamps because it does have the right connector on there. It's kind of like that little Hubsan style connector. And you can also use those Hubsan style chargers. If you don't have a charger, you need to order one. You can get probably one for like $3 to $5, the little USB kind that just plugs into your computer. Charges up in about 30, maybe 20 minutes. So now that I'm all done with the clean flight setup, the next step is to put the props on. And for you new guys, I always say RRR, so right turn rear. The rear right motor is right turning. So remember that, RRR, right turn rear. And the next one up is going to be motor 2, and that's going to be left turn. Directly diagonal from that is also left turn, and diagonal from the right rear is going to be a right turn as well. So motor 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can look in clean flight and it actually has arrows that show you which way this motor rotates, and this is going to be the same in beta flight and in clean flight. 1, 2, 3, and 4. right, left, left, and right. So find the prop that has sort of a leading edge that's facing up to the right. So this will be a left turn prop. That's not going to be the right one to start out with. So I'm looking for a right turn prop. So this is the one that's a right turn. You can see this leading edge is kind of beveled up and it turns to the right. So we're going to put this one on here and do the rest of them on there as well. So after that, we'll do some flying.